How many times do you move in a single day? How often do you bend your arm? How often do you take a step? With each movement, your body generates electricity, and that electricity can be measured. It can tell you a lot about your health. To measure it, we use sensors. They're placed on your body and capture those electrical signals. But the signals are often very small, and there's a lot of interference, so you need many sensors to capture everything. These sensors are built into chips, and those chips are made of multiple layers and parts. That makes them thick and uncomfortable to wear. For people with prosthetics, this can be a real problem. And because so many sensors are used, they also collect and transmit a huge amount of data. Processing and filtering all that data takes time. But imagine if sensor chips were thinner and smarter. That would make the whole process much easier. That's why researchers are working on chips made of flexible plastic. Flexible plastic moves with your body. It's thinner and much more comfortable to wear. At TUE, we want to make life more comfortable with this technology. Because flexible chips use fewer layers, they require completely new designs.
Hello, my name is Kyle, and I will talk about flexible electronics. What is so interesting about flexible electronics is that it is fully bendable. So every single layer within the flexible electronics can be bent, which is very different from what you would see in the electronics in, for example, your phone or in your laptop. What's different between these electronics, though, is that they behave also quite differently. And thus we need to measure every single building block very carefully to know exactly what it's doing. And for that we use the probe station. The probe station we can use to very accurately place these probes and measure each of those building blocks individually very accurately. And with that, what we can do in the end is place these electronics on top of the muscle of someone who, for example, lost their lower limb. And we can measure the contraction of that muscle. And with those measurements, we can control a prosthesis and thus give them back full mobility. And that is what we are researching at the Technical University of Eindhoven.
We're working hard to develop and refine this technology. Every step brings us closer to the start of something new. TUE, where innovation starts.